What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Ethereum today. It is the 7th day of November, and here we are at about $3,420 with 5 hours and 17 minutes left in the day. Looking like we do want to recover, looking like we do want to pump. We've got 2 days, 6 hours left in this week. The higher up we go, the further we close, the more of a wick that we show, the more promising this is to be a low this week. And I really do think that we have found the low. I mean, if we look at this from an overall low here back in April 7th to the high that we had in August, we tipped the 382. It's literally a perfect reaction. I wonder, can we find an example of this type of reaction happening in the past? Maybe with this cycle. Let's see. That doesn't look like a 382 retracement. This looks like a 236. Yeah, it's still positive, still very positive, but not what I'm looking for. Let's see if we can find an example of what I'm talking about here. Would this be one? No, that's not high enough. No, can't find an example of it. That's okay. That's okay. Well, just trust when I tell you. Okay, bouncing off the 382, and maybe we could find examples on like shorter time frames, but on the weekly time frame here, bouncing off the 382 after getting a very powerful move like this, it's a very powerful signal. And what it says is that this is just one move in itself that's part of more to come, right? Like in that aspect, whenever you look at this, if you're looking at just this kind of time frame here, you might expect a move that's up like this or a move that's up like this, right? Something that's relevant or relative to this kind of movement here, this kind of behavior. But as far as size goes. But whenever we look at this move as an overall retracement bouncing off the 382, I genuinely mean it, man. I think that we're going to see a move that mimics exactly what we saw here. It might even be faster, something that takes us well above 10K. If not by the end of this year, then somewhere in January of 2026. I wouldn't be surprised if we were above $10,000 for Ethereum by the end of January in 2026. But we'll get into that. Let's look at the short-term stuff, and then we'll zoom out from there. Okay, the 1 hour time frame here, we're building some volume. 1 hour time frame, we're moving up, looking good. The RSI bouncing off the oversold zone. Overall, a pretty bearish RSI, but we are getting into realms of strength right now with the overbought zone. Stochastics look good, and the MACD, it's been trying to. Might this be the attempt? Once, twice, third time is the charm that we do break above the zero line here and start to show some bullishness on our 1 hour MACD. I think we will. Stochastics, RSI looks good. The price action looks good, and the whole damn crypto space looks good as well, guys. We're like green on everything. Everything is freaking green this week, this day. It's phenomenal. Ethereum on the 4 hour is phasing out of this kind of low-lying levels in the RSI. We have this double bottom to play off of, some higher lows and higher highs here, and I think that we're just moving higher. We're probably going to see this thing run up to the 60, consolidate back down to the 40 or something like that, right? You'll go up to the 60, pull back to the 40, and then move up. You'll maintain these higher lows, higher highs. I wouldn't be surprised at all if we did that. So being that we're not at the 60 yet for the RSI, that would imply then that Ethereum has a little bit more growth to go. We probably see something around $3,500, something around there. Perhaps we consolidate some more, and then next week or over the weekend we'll start to pump, right? It is Friday. It is Friday, so assuming that we do consolidate over the weekend, we could see some kind of consolidation Saturday, Sunday like this, and then Monday we could break out. Instead of rejecting down like this, like we did last time, we might show a higher low, a little bit more constructiveness. Different behavior begets different results, and those results should be promising, not disappointing like they were last time. With that being said, though, not financial advice, not a financial advisor. If we were to see lower lows, or lower lows than this even, everything's fine. I very much doubt Ethereum goes below 3K, but even if it does go a little bit below 3K, that's okay. We can still form a double bottom and reverse from there. Okay? We're up one day, we're euphoric. We're down the next day, we're bearish and pessimistic. We're up the next day, we're euphoric. Don't get caught up in the emotions, right? Even if we move down, don't get caught up in the pessimism. We're likely going to recover and move up from there. Although I'm not forecasting that myself. I think that we're more going to see something like this to the upside. The MACD is shaping up well, building bullish momentum. The stochastics look good, and the RSI, again, you're kind of breaking this downtrend, coming off of this double bottom, looking to explore readings that are back above the 50. What we're looking for is something that maintains consistency with readings like this. We want to be above the 50 consistently. We don't want to be below the 50 consistently like this. If we're below the 50, if we're living below the 50, we get bearish results. If we're living above the 50, you get bullish results. So we want to start, now that we're here, we want to kind of maintain these readings, right? We want to stay up in this level, getting overbought and stuff like that. And we're only going to get that with growth that takes us above $3,500. Looking at the daily time frame here, from a high there, should we take this high? Let's take the overall high and we'll take the low. high to low here on a daily time frame. The intended target area that we should be considering right now is something about $3,700 or even just above there, $3,700 to $3,800. Maybe that's where we go. We're at $3,400 right now. Maybe that's where we go to like $3,700, $3,800. I said 35, but perhaps that's what we do. Are we going to get like a $400 pump? We could see this over the coming days. If I wouldn't be surprised if we did see this over the coming days. 5 hours, 11 minutes left in this day, and then 2 days after that left in this week. I wouldn't be surprised if we went to $3,600 to $3,800 somewhere. I should correct that. $3,700 to $3,800. Find some turbulence there, pull back to this exact price level, and then continue to build. Okay. Once we get above the golden ratio at $4,100, you can't really see it here, but that's what the price is. Let me see if I can zoom it to make it $4,119. Once we get a day to close above there, we likely validate this as a low, and then it's time to again start thinking about the prospects of new all-time highs. You look at the daily time frame, the RSI, we're bouncing off the oversold zone. Nice, good things, right? Coming out of there, good to see. Overall downtrend, very bearish RSI. Stochastics are coming out of the oversold zone as well. And what's nice is you're crossed up here, coming out of the oversold zone, looking like you want to push on. And the MACD sucks, actually. The MACD is very bearish. So nothing, the only positive thing to go off of there is we're at the same low levels in the histograms that we typically find support. We're decaying in bearish momentum at the moment. But again, the MACD is the one thing kind of telling us, hey, we could go lower. And if we do, it's not a big deal, but just something to be aware of. I don't think we do. I really do think that $3,000, that psychological level of support, is going to hold as support, but time will tell. Again, the main thought here is that once we get above our golden ratio, which is at about $4,119, we get above there on a daily closing basis or a weekly closing basis. We validate this as a low, and then we start thinking about higher prices. Targets that are anywhere from about $5,600, $6,600, those come into view immediately. The next target area that I'd consider is $8,000 to $7,600. Once we're above 8,000, we're thinking about like 10K, 13K, 14K, right? This area. And these areas actually line up with some very significant key fib levels throughout Ethereum's life. You know, we take this high here, the high of this overall consolidation phase here, the high right there. We take that high and we put it at this low down here, and we kind of overlay these levels. Let's look at it on the daily time frame. Man, it's just too much noise, isn't it? It's too much noise. The 1272 lines up well with this 1272. The golden ratio lines up perfectly with the top of this zone here. You see these zones that we've highlighted. And then up here, the 1886 200 level, that lines up very well with a couple of these fibs as well. Likely we don't really stop at that $9,000 level. We'll pump up to 10K. Once we're done with 8K, once we pass 8K, the golden ratio here, we likely don't spend much time between 8K and 10K. We'll probably just move, and maybe even 11K. We'll just bypass 10K entirely, 9K entirely, move up to 11K. But that's further down the line. Okay, just things to look forward to. And not only that, but if we take the high to low from the prior cycle, the 1272 here lining up at this same area that lines up with the 1886, that lines up with the golden ratio of this overall retracement. There's a lot of significance at that $8,000 level for our next kind of area of resistance when we do break out of this phase and we do see new all-time highs altogether. But all in all, I wouldn't be surprised if Ethereum right now was on a path, again, that mimics something like what we saw here from April to August, okay? From a low to a high, let's imagine we saw this exact same move. Now, it's not going to be the exact same. This next move will probably be faster. We'll probably see more upside in a shorter amount of time because we're going to be breaking out to new all-time highs, so price exploration will move up faster. It could be a smaller move overall. Even if it is faster, it could be a smaller move, or it could be a larger move. So we're assuming, we're using this as kind of a idea template to say that, okay, if we made the same movement, then by March of 2026, Ethereum would likely be at 11K. But I do think that Ethereum is going to move faster. I think that we're going to see a faster move. So, you know, really by the end of this year, December, we should be at 8K to 10K, somewhere in there, right? This next move, I even theorize, will be bigger as a whole. So perhaps, as we saw here, from April to August, in that time frame, it took us, you know, from $1,400 to about $5,000. Maybe in this time frame, from November to March, we actually move up a little bit more. Perhaps in March, we're at 14K. 14K, again, is an area that several different significant fib levels line up with. I guess not this one here. I thought it was this one. Maybe it's this one, high to low right here. High to low there, yeah, our money zone up there. I could really see us hitting this level If not in March, then sometime in 2026. This is very possible. This 14K level is a very possible outcome for our cycle high target. Okay, that could be it. Maybe we hit that level, we consolidate a little bit, and then we have a slightly higher high. I don't know how likely it is that Ethereum gets to 27 to 22K at this point in time, but I want to see how we rally by the end of the year. It's still something we're considering. This is our overall all-time high cycle ending target expectation. This is where it is, okay? But it really depends on what we do between now and the end of the year. If we're not even at 8K by the end of December, then we need to rethink this, right? 14K might be the cycle high, or maybe even 10K. But if it's the end of the year, if it's like the beginning of January, we're already at 14K, likely we do see a 22K to 27K price. Okay. But I've got nothing else really to talk about. I think I've said enough. We're looking for some very bullish prospects over the coming days and weeks. Ethereum right now, again, the next kind of target area in the immediate term to consider, we're at $3,400, would be at about, you know, 36, 3,700. Actually, sorry, $37 to $3,800 interacting with these lows here. You'll probably consolidate, pull back to these areas to find support, and then continue to rally going into next week, okay? The very next target really after that, once we validate this as a low, once we're thinking about price exploration and moving up to new highs, the target area to consider is really about $8,000. Maybe just above, maybe just below, but about $8,000. I'll see you on the next one. Thank you all for being here. Hit the like button, subscribe, take care of yourselves. I hope you're having a good day today. It's nice to see the markets come to life a little bit, but don't forget where we are. We're still at low points. That doesn't mean that it's not okay to get excited. Get excited, but don't get discouraged if things do turn around over the coming days. You never know. Crypto is volatile, and it's oftentimes the ugliest right before it's the best. I think we've seen the ugliest parts. I think we've seen the ugliness of this drop happen already. But if there is a little bit more, don't let that discourage you, okay? Don't be one of those people who you bought the top, you bought the low, whatever, you've held all this time, and then just that little bit extra makes you sell. Don't do that, okay? That the markets are here to test you, and if you're patient, it's a test of patience. If you're patient, you'll pass with flying colors and flying green dollar bills coming out of you know where. Hit the like button. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.